What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. In today's video we are checking out a brand new e-bike from EVIE. The one that we have here today, it's called the S1. So this is more of an urban bike than anything else. This is a bike that you would ride in the city. And this one has a very interesting feature that I haven't actually seen for any other electric bicycle up until now. So on the back here we have a locking mechanism. So if you push this down here, the bike locks, and now the rear wheel cannot move, so the rear wheel is kind of locked in place there. And to unlock this you have a couple of options. You can either unlock it through the app, so there is an app that works with this bike, or in the box you're gonna find two of these cards. So if you tap the card on the back here, the bike unlocks. So that's simple, or as I said, you can do it in the app. With that being said, let's start by doing a bit of an unboxing just so I can show you how the bike comes packed in the box and what you have to do to get this ready and on the road. Alright, so as you'd expect, the bike comes in a fairly big box, obviously because the bike itself is pretty large, but the bike itself is not that heavy. So the bike has a weight of just under 23 kilos, so not the heaviest, not the lightest bike out there, but if you'd have to take this up the stairs somewhere, it's not that heavy. Out of the box you do have to install a couple of things. So you have to put the front wheel together, you have to put the handlebar together. Fairly easy to do. I'm gonna say it takes about 10 minutes or so. The pedals, and you can purchase an additional pack that gives you that kickstand that you see here, and the rear rack and a front basket. Personally, I haven't installed those because it makes the bike a bit too big, and I'm not a fan of how it looks with those, but you can definitely install those on your bike. Taking a quick look at the bike, well, we have a very sleek and clean design, even though I'm not a fan of the black paint that we have on this bike, mostly because every time you touch the bike, you do leave fingerprints on the bike and it does look dirty. Other than that, it does look pretty cool. I also love the fact that the battery pack is actually in the frame. Now, the downside to that is the fact that you cannot remove the battery pack, so you can just take the battery pack, take it upstairs and charge it. You always have to charge it in the bike, so that is a downside. The cables all seem to go in the frame, so you don't have cables hanging out everywhere. They basically go in the frame and then they come out wherever they have to come out. So once again, it's part of that clean design that I mentioned earlier. The bike's frame is made out of aluminum, so that's why it's not a heavy bike. And on the front and on the back, of course, we have hydraulic disc brakes. I'm happy to say that these brakes don't really make noise whenever you are riding the bike, and the braking power from them is also quite good. So compared to all the other bikes that I got to try up until now, one of the best for braking that I got to try. Now, this bike is powered by a 250 watt motor that's located in the rear wheel here, and that's paired with a 9-gear Shimano shifter. So with the 250 watt motor, you're fine if you're riding on flat roads. This bike is also equipped with a torque sensor, so that brings the bike closer to a regular bike, so a bike that's not electric. So with the torque sensor, basically the bike will give you as much power as you're asking, depending how you push those pedals. So a bike that has a torque sensor like this one is closer to your typical normal bike that's not electric. Other bikes that have a speed sensor basically give you constant power no matter what you do when you pedal. So with this one, you will feel like you're riding a more conventional bike. Shifting gears up and down is done flawlessly, so I didn't have to adjust that shifter when I took the bike out of the box, so that's a great thing, because with other bikes I'd always have to adjust that, but that was not the case with this one. Now, because we have a 250 watt motor, if you do get to some steeper hills, you're basically gonna have to get off the bike and push it, unless you've been riding for a while and you're used to a lot of pedaling. So a 250 watt motor is definitely not ideal if you're riding up steeper hills. If you have a hill that's not as steep, maybe it will be fine. But in this area where I am located, we have massively steep hills, and with this bike it's pretty much impossible to ride up those hills, mostly if you compare this to a bike that has a 750 watt motor. However, this is street legal, the other ones aren't exactly street legal. Talking about street legal, the top speed for this bike is 25 kilometers an hour. So when you reach 25 kilometers an hour, the bike will basically stop assisting you. On the front and on the back, we have 27.5-inch tires. These are street tires. I'm gonna say they are from Kenda, so that's the brand of tires. but they're beefy enough that you can actually take the bike a bit off-roading. So if you have some uneven terrain, the bike will do fine like that. Now, because we don't have a front or rear suspension, the ride is a bit rough, but again, it really depends on the terrain that you are riding. But of course, it will be rougher than if you're riding a bike that has a front and rear suspension. On the front and on the back, we also have mud guards. These are made out of metal. Now, I haven't been riding the bike in rain, so I can't really tell you how well those work to protect you from all the splashing, but they're big enough, so I think you'll be fairly well protected from splashing. On the front and on the back, we also have a headlight and a tail light. Of course, you can turn that on or off. The front light is bright enough so it can light the path ahead of you at night. During the day, you can't really see it that well, and the same kind of applies for that rear light. But I'm happy that we have integrated lights on the bike. Moving on to the seat, well, the seat here is adjustable in height, so you can get it as high as you want, but this is not the most comfortable seat out there. After you ride for about half an hour to 45 minutes, your backside here does hurt a bit. Moving on to the handlebar. So the handlebar is nice and wide. I don't have a problem with that. Whenever you're riding, you're not crammed in any way. However, the handlebar is not adjustable in height. So whenever you're riding, you always have to put pressure onto your wrist. You're a bit crunched down. And personally, I'm not a fan of that riding position, mostly because my wrists start to hurt after a while. So I kind of wish there was a way to lift up the handlebar, because the ride would be more comfortable if you could be a bit straighter. On the sides here we have rubber. This doesn't seem to move. The brake levers are made out of metal. And in the center here we have the screen. Now, this is a fairly large screen, and yes, it does look better than most e-bikes out there because it's nicely integrated into the handlebar. Here it will show you the speed, it will show you the battery level that you have and so on. But the problem is, if you're riding on a super bright day like today, you can barely see the screen. Now, my camera is not going to be able to capture the screen how it actually looks in person, but it is hard to see if you're riding on a super bright day. On the left hand side here we also have the bell. That's how the bell sounds like. We have 3 buttons right here, so that's how you kind of interact with the bike. And then on the right hand side we do have the shifter that we talked about earlier, so 9-gear shifting system from Shimano. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there is also an app that works with the bike. So from that app you can actually unlock the bike, but you can also get a mobile data subscription for the bike. Unfortunately, my bike doesn't have that subscription available, so I couldn't really test it. But basically with that, you're going to be able to check the bike's location on the map. You can see where the bike is. It can send you notifications if someone moves the bike and so on. But again, since my bike doesn't actually have that subscription, I was not able to check that out. But I did read that on the manufacturer's website. Alright, so let me quickly show you how you would use this bike. So we basically have the power button right here. You hold this press for about 3 seconds or so, and then the screen comes on. I'm not sure you can actually see the screen on the camera. It is bright out, so it may be difficult to see. So from here you basically change assistance levels. We'll go in assistance level 4. It has 5 levels of assistance. So basically, as soon as you start pedaling, the bike will start assisting you. So you're gonna hear the motor going. So right away it starts assisting you. So yes, it does make pedaling much easier. So you have to put less effort into pedaling. From here, from the right, you can basically shift gears, lower, higher. So it depends on the speed that you want. We'll go in assistance level 5. So it will basically assist me till I get to about 25 kilometers an hour, then will stop assisting me. Let me do a quick brake test. So from about 25 kilometers an hour, we'll brake. So you can easily lock the rear wheel there if you want. So we'll do another brake test right here. That was a slower braking process. so if you don't want to lock those wheels. So next I'm going to show you how the bike goes uphill. So we have a pretty steep hill out here, so it's not easy with this bike to go uphill. I mean, you do have to put a lot of effort into pedaling. I'm not sure if you can even tell how steep this hill is, but basically you have to put a lot of effort into pedaling. So if you're not into that effort, get yourself a bike with a more powerful motor, I'm gonna say. So this is how it goes uphill. I'm gonna turn around because I don't wanna pedal up all the way, and we'll keep going this way. So we'll turn left here, and we'll keep pedaling. So as I said, the shifter does work quite well. So you can get to that 25 kilometers an hour very, very easily. So now there is no more motor assistance, as you can hear, but very, very easy to ride this bike. And now uphill, so it's gonna start helping me. Yeah, so this is the EVIE S1. So there you have it. This was a super quick look at the EVIE S1 electric bicycle. Now, the downsides that I see with this bike is that battery pack that's integrated in the bike. The range from it, well, the manufacturer says that you can get up to 70 kilometers on one charge. But again, that will be in ideal conditions if you're riding on assistance level 1. But if you're riding uphill a lot, if you're riding on assistance level 5, which is the top level of assistance, you're gonna get about 30 kilometers. Of course, it depends how heavy you are, it depends how hot and how cold it is outside. So it depends on many factors, but you should be able to get about 30 kilometers no matter how you ride the bike. If you ride it more conservatively, of course, you're gonna get more than that, but that's for me in my conditions here. Overall, the bike is built really well. Probably one of the best builds for the e-bike that I've seen in a while. I also love the fact that this locking mechanism is here. Now, it could be a bit inconvenient to remember to bring that card with you, but you always have your phone with you, so easy to lock and unlock, and then you have the phone to kind of control the bike. So a great addition. I wish more bikes would actually have that. So for a city e-bike, this is gonna be great. It rides good, it's quiet, it looks good, but if you're planning to ride these uphills, maybe not ideal for that because of that 250 watt motor, which is street legal. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.